Hi everyone, so I'm Anna Malan. I did the Worship Matters group with Greg and with Theo. The course that we did was presented by Bob Kauflin, who's a well-known worship leader from America who's been in the scene for many years. I really enjoyed it. I think the thing that stood out to me most was just how it really encouraged interesting conversation afterwards. So we'd often watch a video clip for 15 to 20 minutes and then it would spark conversation. And that conversation for me was really interesting, it was insightful, and it was encouraging as well, because it really just resonates with what's happening in our church at the moment, and just an increased hunger and thirst for God, for His presence, for the reality of Him with us, the nearness of His presence in services, and I think the whole movement of what's happening with the church globally at the moment. So Worship Matters was exciting, because it's just an indication that we're moving in the right direction. It's just an increased value that's been put on worship and for God and for His presence. In addition to that, we were able to uncover certain topics and open up sort of a toolbox and talk about certain things that were encouraging and will help worship leaders and people who facilitate worship in future. So those were really helpful as well to discuss. And I think the thing that stood out to me a lot in conversation was the concept of healthy tensions. And Bob indicates that tension is actually a good thing. And in some ways we sometimes avoid it because it doesn't feel nice. But the reality is, he used the analogy of a volleyball net, that it has two poles and it has a net in between, and there needs to be tension for it to stay in place. And it's the same thing in worship, is the connect between vertical and horizontal, that we glorify God but we build each other up, the connect between head and heart, the internal connection with God, and yet the external element with movement and our body and dance, and how it's all meant to be there in a healthy state of tension. The other elements that we spoke about in regards to healthy tension and some of the theology of worship, but the big thing was there's tools, and we were able to discuss and we were able to grow together and actually bring us nearer to God. So it's not only for people who are involved in worship, but for those who really hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. So it will draw you closer to God as well. And I really encourage you, if this is something that interests you, to take that step with the next Grow Group cycle.